following up with. The reason that we do cold advertising or paid advertising, here's the first distinction, is that there's actually no such thing as free advertising. We have two resources that we're working with, especially when we're starting to understand the economics of our business. We're working with time. We only have so many hours in the day. We only have so much time we can spend on our business, right? And we all have a set amount of budget. We have a set budget and that we're able to work with. And that's the reality for all of us. Like, we have a starting point. We have a certain set of circumstances, and we have a certain amount of resources that we're able to work with right now. That's just the reality of the situation. So the name of the game and the reason that we do cold advertising is because it's about getting ourselves and our products and services in front of people that have no freaking clue who we are, and doing it in a way so that all of the things that we're doing when we're marketing to our warm market, it makes it more effective. Because cold marketing, it's nothing more than getting in front of people so that they start to know you, they start to like you, they start to trust you, and in turn become what? Your warm market. So if you do this properly and you understand the economics of the business, you start to understand that doing digital marketing effectively, the real name of the game, is getting paid to grow your warm market. That 20,000 person email list, I made hundreds of thousands of dollars to be able to create it. I was paid to do it because I understood the economics of the business, and I had a 40,000 foot view where I was able to see what I was doing. I was growing my audience every single day, regardless of a product, regardless of a service, regardless of a cause, regardless of an individual, whatever it was that I wanted to promote, that I wanted to talk about, I created and cultivated my own stage. I created and become a person of influence because I learned how to do cold marketing effectively, because I learned the economics of the business and how to get paid to grow my audience. How many of you guys realize that right now you have the opportunity to learn a skill set that's like modern day alchemy?
Yeah.
It's like you have the ability, like imagine with me for a moment, understand the implications of this, because a lot of people don't. What if you had the ability to get tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of views on any social media profile that you wanted, on any website that you wanted, on any advertisement that you wanted, on any video that you wanted, that you could drive that level of attention anywhere that you wanted at will? That's literally what you have the ability to do right now, just from learning how to be able to use this little piece of emerging technology called Facebook self-serve ad platform. It's like going to the traffic store. Anybody, any single person in this room right now, if you knew how to place even a single ad, which even with the archaic training that was inside of GAZ right now, would be able to, that you actually have that ability right now. And I don't think a lot of you guys have like really honored or acknowledged or realized that. Like, holy shit, if I did have the budget, it's not that necessarily you have the budget to be able to drive $1 million right now, but you do have the ability to do it. Do you get that?
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Understanding the economics of the business is important because if you don't, for instance, there was a girl a few weeks ago, and there was a story going around. She had 20-something million Instagram followers, and she couldn't sell 30-some t-shirts.
Wow.
Attention doesn't necessarily mean revenue. However, I know people, there's probably people in this room, 500, 600 Twitter Instagram followers that make tens of, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's about understanding the economics of the business and being able to put two things together, which kind of brings me into the next point here. And this was one of the other main keys that I had implemented and that I had done, and that I was actually stacking high-ticket offers. And this wasn't even something that I was consciously doing at first. It was something that I was doing because I was working with a group of individuals who I knew that they had something that was working. And that I had licensed, I was working technically in the financial services industry at the time, and I had licensed a product line where I was able to make like $1,000, $5,000, and even $10,000 commissions with the type of product line that I was working with at the time. And then not only that, but then I had found out ways to be able to stack additional high-ticket offers, finding additional ways to be able to service and work with the customers and clients and leads that I was generating that were in addition to, and that were adding additional service to the way that I was being able to help them. Because when I'm working with, as an affiliate, if I'm working with a product line, which, just to put this into context, being an affiliate doesn't have to be any more difficult than making a genuine endorsement for something that you believe in. How many of you guys get that, like, You don't have to change your Facebook profile to works at Disney in order to convince somebody that they need to go see the latest Avengers movie. That like all you really got to do is make a genuine recommendation on like, this is a great movie, this is why I liked it, and here's what I think you get from it, right? And that's all affiliate marketing really is. But when I work with a product line, or I look at myself as an affiliate, you need to realize that you really are your business. And what are the types of products and services that you have on your shelf? Because they're ultimately aiding the way at which you are going to be able to bring a service and bring a solution to the marketplace. They're an extension of you. Working with a Magix product line, there's the health benefits, there's the opportunity benefits. When you start to look at the actual benefits, not the features, and the ways at which you are able to help and serve somebody. And then you start thinking about, well, if somebody's interested in the health side, what are some other things that I'm able to help and service them with? If they're interested in the business, what are some additional, so for me, when I was working with entrepreneurs, it became like, well, how am I servicing them? What are the types of, in the financial services side, what are some types of tools that they could be working with? What are some other additional services and resources that I could be bringing to them that are going to add additional value and are going to help them maybe expedite the results that they're getting? You're not doing it in a confusing way, but doing it in a way, for those of you guys that did your homework, in a way that was a part of the user experience. And here's the thing, and the reason that I really wanted to put this in here for you guys and that it became one of these 4 keys, is because if I hadn't done this, I wouldn't be here in front of you guys today. And here's what I mean by that. I genuinely believe that a brand new person, when they're first getting started, especially in the digital marketing space, they need to be working with a product line where you have the ability to earn at least a $1,000 commission. Because here's what it does. It's like an insurance policy that allows you to protect yourself from all the fucking mistakes you're gonna make. Here's the one thing I know for sure is you're gonna make mistakes. You're gonna throw up ads that don't work. You're gonna test things. You're gonna realize like, shit, I suck at writing copy, or like, I thought this thing was really good, but the audience doesn't like it. Like, it's going to happen. I can assure you of that. The point is realizing the reality of all these things, that none of us are perfect. Even following the training perfectly, you're still going to make mistakes. It's inevitable. The only reason I'm on stage in front of you guys here right now is because I made more mistakes than anybody else, and I kept moving. I can remember when I was first generating my first few leads, my first few sales, and I was supposed to get on the phone with them. And I was like, okay, I finally learned how to get these clicks consistently. I finally learned how to be able to generate leads consistently. I finally got my first few customers. Now I gotta talk to them. What did I get myself into? I literally hung up the phone on customers that had paid money to speak with me because I was so nervous and scared, learning how to be able to deal with and start to learn that piece of the business. But the reality was that the thing that I did that was most successful was I focused on the first piece, gotta get clicks consistently, and I focused on the second piece. Okay, now I figured out how to turn these clicks into leads. Then I focused on the next piece, which was learning how I was going to convert those leads into sales. Once I got my head around that and I was doing it consistently, it was like, how am I working with my customers to ensure that they're getting results and having a good experience? And then it was taking them to another level. And I continued to take them deeper and further, but I was learning one single piece at a time. How many of you guys think that you need to know and realize and be a master of it all before you're going to be able to get any results? How many of you guys think that? It's not true. And the reason that stacking big ticket offers made it so good for me is it gave me the ability to suck at generating clicks, to suck at advertising, to suck at dealing with my customers, and to at the same time still be able to safely turn around and be able to get a return on investment, because even if I spent my entire marketing budget over the first 2 months just to be able to break even, or let's say even worse, just to be able to lose $500, $600, $700, or even $1,000 to just be able to generate 1 or 2 of these sales, did I really actually lose $1,000 or $2,000? What did I get instead? 2 new customers to be able to work with. I've got fresh leads that are still in my pipeline, and I've also got the experience now, which is the best education that you're ever going to get. So I can read 1,000 books on how to ride a bike, but if I don't ever get on it, does it really matter? Shit. shit, I have 20 minutes left. That's unfortunate. There's so much more I want to share. It's funny because every one of my speeches have been different. I go on random tangents. The good news is that you guys, for whatever reason, it's coming out, so I'm sure some of you guys have needed to hear some of these things. So the point being, though, is that stacking big ticket offers allowed me to be able to do this. I can remember there was a moment, and it was actually shortly after that live event when I came out and I first started hustling. And I think it was like 4 or 5 months later, and I generated about it was almost $24,000 inside of 3 days. But I was super set on the 6-figure goal, so I didn't even like blink an eye at it. I was just moving forward. But the reason that I had done that is because I made 2 $10,000 commissions. I only really made 3 sales, but it made this large number that allowed me to go out and to start like reinvesting and be able to make mistakes. And then I'd have these months where I would do these numbers and these, like I was saying before, where I'd have like these great amount of success in a short period of time, but then it gave me this buffer to be able to suck. And I mean like really suck. I mean like waste so much money on so much useless shit that you can't even possibly imagine. I flushed hundreds of thousands of dollars down the toilet on things that are not even relevant anymore. It used to be called Web 2.0. Most people used to be on MySpace. It wasn't social media. It wasn't Facebook. How much useless shit I did? Stacking high ticket offers was the insurance policy that allowed me to do that. Now, this one here, how many of you guys understand that like it's super busy? There's a million things. All those things that I was just listing off from like, there's Twitter strategies. There was a strategy that we developed at one point where we developed a bot that would go in and there's this little platform called the WordPress Reader. And again, the specifics of this are absolutely irrelevant. And we developed this whole thing to be able to go in and like create these massive likes, and we could drive thousands of clicks at any time that we wanted to any website. It was like pennies on the dollar to be able to do it. And there's like all these different tricks, hacks, tactics, strategies, and I was lost in all of it. Like I told you before, I realized that I'm like, this is all just traffic. It's all just traffic strategies. That's all any of it is, from the posts that you're making on your Facebook page to the ads that we're being able to run. And the reality is that you just need one. You don't need 1,000 traffic strategies like I was trying to do like an idiot. You need one. That's it. There's a reason that we only teach specifically when somebody's getting started on Facebook. There's a method to the madness. Sometimes the best thing you can do for somebody is put blinders on them to give them the focus and the clarity to be able to go forward and take action. How many of you guys get that, like, so for instance, GAZ was born from a random conversation in a hot tub where I had Jane at my winter home and I said, here's what you're gonna do. What do you want to call it? Zone, I mean, that's kind of weird. Okay, let's add global in there. Let's see what happens. The name, everything came from there. It's like, okay, who do you want to work with? Me and Julian are really getting along these days. Let's call Julian up. Okay, let's make this happen. And then I was like quietly advising them in the background for like here and there, every other month we connect, and I would just give them a few insights, but they were really only able to implement a very small fraction of what was put together. But there's an entire point about this time of the story, and I totally lost my train of thought. I was talking about traffic. Oh, here we go. And hot tubs. The hot tub was the point. No, I lost it again. I actually found it again, and I lost it again. Imagine that. You'd think that I like slept a full night or something. I was there. Oh, I remember what it was. Okay, so the whole point of it was this. A long way of getting here. GAZ was just a proof of concept. Do you guys realize that every single, I mean, I'm sure there's some people in this room that have some previous experience, but that every single success story that was generated over the last 2 years, like hundreds of people quitting their jobs, tens of millions of dollars in sales and commissions being paid out, that it was proof of concept. You know how many big affiliates we could have recruited and brought in? People with like large lists and experience that we could have brought in. The point was to develop a curriculum and a process that a brand new person could be able to take and be able to go get results with. It was literally like this proving ground that got dragged out for a little bit. But it was literally just a proof of concept. The results that have been produced inside of this community have never been touched anywhere else in the industry. The success rates. Like in a big way, like we reset the 4-minute mile. This was something that wasn't possible. If you would have talked to these large gurus and these people speaking on stages that have all these large events, they'd be like, no, like, that's not gonna happen. Nobody's gonna get results like that. I'm like, no, see, what you don't understand is about designing a curriculum and a user experience effectively. The point that I was getting at with all of this is there was a method to the madness on why we only taught one traffic strategy. Why we only taught you one way how to do things. One way to be able to get started. And the reality is that it was to be able to create success and some results quickly, because all you need is one traffic strategy. All you need is one method to be able to focus on. And that Facebook actually right now it's the best place, it's the best platform to be able to learn. There are things that we can do cheaper, bigger, larger scale, but do you think that you need that when you're first getting started? If you're not doing $5,000, $10,000 a month consistently, do you need any of those things? Do you need more? You can't handle one. Do we need two? Do we need three? Do we need four? So the big thing for me and the main key here was understanding that I really just started to focus on traffic and conversions and realizing that this super noisy space out here in the internet land was just about an audience and an offer, about traffic and conversions, and about being able to break down and understand where was I getting my audience and attention from, what type of experience, what type of sales experience was I taking them through to ensure that I was educating them to understand the benefits and the ways that they could apply and use my product and service. That was it. I took them through a sales process. Now there are ways of doing things in a leveraged capacity to be able to do it more at scale, to follow up with people more effectively, to do retargeting, all of these things, all of these awesome things that are massive multipliers that can absolutely make you more money and transform your life. But here's the thing. Anything times zero is what? Zero. So there's only two things that you can do that you need to be doing on a daily basis that are actually going to make you money. Only two. If you're not doing these two things, unfortunately, you're not even really doing anything useful for your business, and you're doing that at shuffling paper, moving things around, 10 hours in a day, just moving things around, and it feels productive. You're working hard, but are you doing anything that's actually producing revenue or income? And the first thing, if you're not doing something every single day to get eyeballs on your offer, what's going on? If you had a clothing store and you just spent all day rearranging where the clothes was, do you think that that's really going to have an impact on your business, on your revenue? Or is doing things to ensure that you're getting fresh traffic, fresh people through your store so that they can look at the beautiful boutique dresses that you've got in the windows? If you're not doing something every single day consistently to get eyeballs on your offer, what are we doing? It's about getting eyeballs on our offer and following up with those individuals to ensure that they have the information and everything that they need in order to make a buying decision. Again, if we're working with time and money, those are our two resources that we've got, you eventually get to a point where you have more money than you have time, and it allows you to let go of certain bits. But here's the thing, if those are the two things that we need to be focusing on, as we learn all of this other stuff, a lot of people get stuck in the minutia. They get stuck in all of the details and all the bits and learning and seeing well, how far does this road go? I know that I'm supposed to start back there, but what's over here? And they're wandering and looking around, and they're too busy learning that they're forgetting to actually do the core principles and the things that are actually going to make them money. And what I want to give you permission to do is to let go of all of that stuff, and if you're not able to focus on the basics first, everything is building on top of that. For instance, I don't care if it's just making the commitment to get 5 people a day to watch your presentation, whether it's a webinar, to read your book, to go through a demo of your product. What are you doing to ensure that you have a consistent number of people every single day viewing your product, and then how are you following up with them consistently? If this is our sales funnel or our user experience, and over here is somebody who doesn't know who the fuck we are, and over here is somebody who absolutely loves us and is getting results with our product, the reality is that we already have tools and resources that technically somebody could just hop in and be able to go all the way through and make that decision on their own. But the reality is that some people don't even get engaged with our ad. Some people opt in and never go any further. Some people watch part of the webinar and stop. Some people watch the webinar and they've got certain questions that they want to be able to ask. And other people, they just got started and they purchased, but they have more questions about magic or the way that it's going to be able to help them in additional products and services. So what I do is I look at this as like, who in this sales process, I'm going to deal with all of them, but if I only have a certain amount of time, who am I going to prioritize and speak to first? My customers. And then I'm going to speak with the individuals who watch the most of the webinar that have buying questions. But the reality is that every single day, I'm either getting new eyeballs on the offer, or I'm following up with the individuals who are in my sales process right now, regardless of where they are. And yes, that there's tools and there's strategies to be able to automate and systemize and be able to scale this. But the point is that if we're not doing the basics, what are we adding to? Yes, we use email autoresponders. Yes, we can learn how to do retargeting campaigns. Yes, there's systems of being able to ensure and automate all of this process that can allow us to do it at scale. But how many of you guys realize that when most people are getting started in their business, they have more time than money? How are you spending that time? Is that time best spent getting the perfect angle of a selfie and how to edit it? Or is that time, again, there's like nuances where we want to get more likes and more engagement. The last time I tried to go to the bank, like the girl that had this 20-some million Instagram followers, I couldn't deposit those likes. They just weren't interested in it. I was like, guys, seriously, these are worth something. But in all seriousness, like if we're not practicing the basics, that's the #1 thing that most people need to do. If you look at anybody who's getting success and results inside of the business right now, I can assure you that on a consistent basis, they're getting eyeballs on their offer, and they're following up with them consistently. It's the only two things that are going to be able to make us money. And that learning and taking a focus of actually becoming a student of traffic and conversions, how to be able to get in front of an audience consistently, and how to be able to follow up with and communicate with them effectively is what's going to allow you to do that at scale. You guys are working with, when you stack high-ticket offers effectively, you guys do realize that you don't need like 100 leads a day in order to make a 6-figure income. You just need a few. That's it. And then, again, it's taking it one step at a time, because first you start to learn how to get attention and engagement. Then you learn how to get leads consistently. Then you have to learn how to talk to those leads. You know how many millions of dollars I've talked people out of? I've talked myself out of sales. Like I just literally pretty much told people not to buy because I couldn't shut up my mouth. I was overselling the product. I was going into details and things that they weren't even asking about. And I was just like, oh, super unfortunate. I just robbed that individual of the real opportunity they had to be able to work with this product. But I was learning. I was learning. And the learning, that process that so many people are scared of doing, are scared of stepping in and taking action, is the only thing that's really going to get you to your results. How many of you guys have some pretty big goals? It's relative. My question to you is, are they big enough to do the hard things when nobody's looking? To hear no in a messenger, or to have a friend tell you you're an idiot? I can't tell you how many friends said I got scammed. They're not in my life anymore, unfortunately, for them. But in all seriousness, the main thing that I really focused on was becoming a student and understanding that it really is nothing more than traffic and conversions, and that there's a way of being able, the way at which we've even dissected and broken down our entire curriculum inside of AI understands this. There's meticulous design into how we've even laid out the curriculum. From Copywriting 101. This is about understanding sales in the written word. What are the things that we say on our website? What are the ways at which we're even understanding who we're communicating with? There's things that you guys will go through inside of Copywriting 101 when Lucas Reshevsky takes you through his proprietary armchair exercise, where you're going to start to realize who you've been talking to and how you've been talking to them might have been completely wrong this entire time. And that a lot of times when we go to events or when we go through curriculum, and sometimes it's those one tiny little distinction that changes everything for you. And that there could be something just inside of that training alone. The way that we've laid out Funnels 101, which is understanding like the systematic flow and process which we're bringing our traffic through. It's about starting to understand Follow-Up 101, how we're actually following up with and communicating with these leads effectively. It's about understanding media, Traffic 101, where we actually get into like Facebook ads so that you can start to realize, like for instance, if anybody in this room isn't driving cold traffic yet, you will be. budget's $10 a month. It's about getting the experience of doing it. I don't care if you only have the budget to be able to generate 1 or 2 leads to work with. Work with them. It doesn't matter how close or how far away you are from your goal. We all have different circumstances. We all have different resources. We all have different things that we're working with. You have to honor it. You have to start from where you are. You have to stop comparing yourself to everybody else, because everybody is at a different point. I mean, in all honesty, Julian, you guys know Julian and Carlson? Yeah, a lot of you guys know who Carlson is? Yep. Perfect. I love them, but when they were coming around some of the events and things that I was doing at the time, they were like the class clowns. They were like oh shit, are these guys gonna make it? Why aren't they getting it? It can take everybody a different amount of time, but the different distinction between those that get it doesn't matter how long it takes you. Like, I don't really understand some of the shit this guy on stage is talking about. It doesn't matter. The truth is, there's gonna be things that we're gonna be going over today. There's ways at which things are being meticulously and strategically designed. Like, for instance, you guys might not have even known why GAZ was laid out the way that it was in the past, and that was just like some passing conversation, versus now how we've designed the AI curriculum very specifically, intentionally, the way the quizzes, the way the curriculum, the way that everything is being designed to allow and ensure that you have a certain level of understanding every single step of the way. And the reality is that it didn't matter whether you understood it or not. What mattered was that you actually had something that was going to be able to take you out there and get you into play, get you into the game, because who realizes that, like, you can't win if you're not playing. And the number one, your guys' energy is great. I've never been interrupted so many times in class. That's great. I appreciate it. It's the number one struggle, and so how many of you guys understand that we're designing a curriculum for the newest person? A lot of people are like, is this something that I can do? I don't know, this whole world. If it weren't, we wouldn't be bringing it to you. The idea is taking somebody from absolute zero, no understanding. Is it a real education? Is it a real curriculum if nobody can pick it up? Except like, you know what, you have to be born on this date, with this haircut, to these parents, at this certain time, then you can get results of this. And you have to sign up with Clint. The reality is that we're designing our curriculum and stuff in a way that's going to allow you to really be able to focus on the basics, because it's the basics, it's the simple things that are done consistently over time that produce the biggest results. And that one of the major keys for me over time was actually focusing on and understanding that internet marketing, that digital marketing, it doesn't have to be difficult, it doesn't have to be complex, that it is nothing more than traffic and conversions, it is nothing more than getting eyeballs on my offer regardless of how I'm doing it, and following up with those individuals consistently to make sure that they have the information and the things that they need to know in order to make an effective buying decision. See, sales and marketing isn't about convincing somebody to do something or like any of this like unethical manipulation. Sales and marketing is about sifting and sorting. It's about getting the right offer in front of the right person at the right time, and really being able to help them. Sales and marketing, entrepreneurship, it's nothing more than problem solving. The reality is that the offers and the things that you get to choose to promote, that they have the ability to solve some pretty big problems, don't they?
Yeah.
Don't you think that if you have the ability to solve some of these pretty big problems, that you almost have like a moral obligation to get good at this stuff?
Yes.
If you don't, nobody's ever going to hear about it. I don't care how good your product is, go lay it out on the street and see how many people come to pick it up. Not many. And this was one of the biggest distinctions that I had when I kind of seen back in, was it 2008, I guess? The type of opportunity and the type of trends that were happening online when I jumped in the proliferation phase. I realized, I was like, holy shit, if I learn this skill, even if I just learned enough of this to be like, every business on the planet not only wants this, they need it. Like sales and marketing, getting traffic, understanding how to convert that traffic into leads, into sales, into customers, into repeat buyers, that is the lifeblood of every single business on the planet. And that you're at the forefront right now, you have the ability to learn a set of skills that can set you free for life. The reality is that you have the ability, you can take it and you can apply it to any business. You can go get a job. The average marketing manager, digital marketing manager right now makes about a 6-figure salary inside of the United States. It's the type of thing that you can do, which is the stuff that we're doing inside of our level 1 curriculum. Or You can start applying it for yourself and start to realize the type of income and the results that you have the ability to produce. Because if you get good at this stuff, don't you want a stake of it for yourself?
Yeah.
So traffic and conversions. Just going on random tangents today, it's great. I think it's the squeaky stage, it's triggering me. How much time do I have? Oh, shit, apparently I'm out of time. However, I'm going to rip through this really quickly. I apologize for all the other speakers that I'm fucking up. I'm the disrespectful guy today who went over and ruined everybody else's time. Sorry. Yeah. I'm not supposed to say sorry. Forgive me. Thank you for forgiving me for ruining up your day. So the last thing here, and this was a major distinction for me, and I realized that it was one of the most important things that I did almost unconsciously. And I realized that I was always trying to be the dumbest person in the room. The type of people that I would be around. People are like, who was your mentor? It's like, on what topic? There wasn't anybody that had everything that I wanted. There's people that had really good relationships. There's people that were really good at driving traffic. There's people that were really good at doing sales. And I'd look at their finances and be like, these guys are all broke. How are they driving millions of dollars in revenue and no one knows how to manage their money properly? Which also there's an entire part of the curriculum about how effective financial management. Something we're sneaking in there for you guys. It's like we're giving you here's some of the things that you're going to need as well. So one of the biggest things that I did was taking the time to level up my circle, level up my inner circle. It was from going to events. So some of you guys right now, you're sitting next to somebody that has big goals. And they don't just have big goals, but they have the level of certainty, they have the level of commitment, they have the level of discipline, that they are absolutely going to make it happen. And it's not a matter of if, it's simply a matter of when, because they have what it takes. And then you're sitting next to them right now, and they are on their come up, and they are about to do something, and you have the unique opportunity to work with them, to work alongside them as they go through the curriculum, as they line up at masterminds, as they continue to go. Could you imagine realizing the distinction as you watch Michael Jordan out there in the gym after school shooting hoops and realizing like, I'm gonna go shoot hoops with him. There's no practice that he's going to do, there's no rep that he's going to put in that I'm not going to do as well. And that you have the chance to run with people who are going places whether you decide to go or not. That's the power of going to events. That's the power of going to masterminds. I genuinely believe that the most important thing, the most powerful thing that anybody can do is to be an example of what's possible. That going for your goals, first and foremost, can be the biggest thing that you've ever done. And to understand the implications of simply going for your goals, simply getting clear on what it is that you want to be able to do, and the impact that that can have on the world around you. Now, I could literally talk for the next 2 hours just on that subject alone. But to really get that really helps you understand, to be an example of what's possible. Most times people don't know what's possible. And I was sitting there and I was working with one of the trainers inside of the curriculum, actually. His name's Chris Smith. He's one of the world's foremost experts on storytelling. And he gets brought in by like Fortune 500 companies to help them retell their brand story. And I was going through some of his framework with him. And he really wanted to, it was like pulling out of me, like what was it that I was going to stand for? And the reality was that I was a stand for waking people up to what's possible. And he was like, well, if you're on the stage right now in front of in front of an audience of my peers, all people running 7- and 8-figure businesses, what would you say? I'd be like, well, the only reason they're not where they want to be right now is because they don't know what's possible. And that's the truth for you guys right now too. And that's one of the biggest, the most important things of leveling up your circle. Because a lot of you guys don't realize what's possible with how many clicks you can be generating, with how many leads you can be generating, with how quickly and easily you could be closing sales. You don't understand what's possible with the value of what a customer could be. You don't understand what's possible, and it gets minute into the details. But there's also the big